For doohickey, I did notice one of the things that I wanted to attack as a solution, kind of dealing with along this line training, and that our manufacturing team, our upper level management doesn't have confidence in them at all. So I want to attack it from the point of view of having, they say weekly in our reading lunch meetings, and I don't know if weekly would be overkill, so I'm going to at least ask for bi-weekly lunch meetings with the lower level manufacturing crews, just to gather around lunch and have an informal type of training thing where someone discusses maybe something that they're doing that's really expedient, or the CEO comes in and says, hey, we got these opportunities, and that sort of thing. That's what I would like to suggest. Ashley's going to email us her thoughts. Aline's going to email and pick something. Dan, did you already have something that stood out to you with the reading for doohickey?
No. No, I'll think
yeah, make
about
sure. It. Yeah, just go ahead and email all of us so we know what each one's thinking about, and that, so we know where we can start on that. So kind of help you out a little bit, so
Sure.
you get a little bit of extra head time on the doohickey. So now discussing the Federal Reserve Bank mentoring program. Dan, what do you think were some of the positive results from the pilot program?
It seems like it boosted morale for those I mean, the feedback was really positive for participants. It's always nice to. I really liked some of the comments by participants talked about how they saw their place in the company or their department from a different perspective, and in a business like that, I mean, where everyone's working as a team, it's nice to get to know other facets of the company so that you can better understand your own role and responsibility in the whole thing.
I like that. Get to know other facets. That's a good idea. Yeah, because sometimes the company's big enough that you don't know the other departments. Yeah. Aline, what do you think was the reasoning behind these positive results?
Say that again.
So what do you think why was the pilot program successful? What do you think the reasons behind it were?
I think that there was a lot of people who really did want to excel at their jobs. They just didn't know how. Like Dan said, I think the place was, it's a big company, and sometimes you get lost in the cracks, and people really wanted to improve and get better. They just didn't know how, and finally the company was giving them an opportunity to do so.
Okay. Yeah, and some of the other things mentioned was because it was voluntary, so yeah, they were picking up on people who had a desire. They talked about the matching process. Dan, what do you think the matching process that they went through, how do you think that affected the program?
It seemed like they spent a lot of time. I mean, they did spend a lot of time on it, definitely put a lot of thought into it, and that was one of the comments by a participant, was that they felt like they did a really good job with the matchup. So at least that initial round went, yeah, was really great. It seemed to really do a good job.
And then Aline, we noticed that Miss Roomstein was supposed to only be for 10 hours, and then she ended up working this program full time. How key do you think her personal involvement was to the success of the program?
I think it was pivotal. Like, for her to go from 10 hours to a full-time position controlling this program, like, it wouldn't have survived without her involvement. continuing to get the mentors and the mentees to continue to find time in their daily work schedules to do it. And and she was also like cooling out fires and helping people who were having a hard time adjusting to the mentor or the mentee. And if she hadn't have stepped up, it wouldn't have been successful, I don't think.
Dan, what do you think? Was that the key ingredient, or do you think there was something else that drove the success?
It definitely helped. I really think the training, probably more than anything, drove the success. They were really committed to the training. I mean, a two-day training is really significant. I mean, that's a ton. And again, just based on what participants had to say, going in and defining roles and really having, and they had those consultants sort of drive that and help the mentees figure out what they want to get out of this, and then also the mentors figure out what their responsibilities are in this whole thing. And I think that really, there's nothing more frustrating than people getting together and neither of them really knowing what they ought to do. Ends up feeling like some of these online hangouts with some of my classes. It's nice to really have direction.
Yeah. So, you guys feel that, Dan? Let me start with you. Is this program, do you think it was specific to the bank, or do you think it can work in any environment?
No, definitely not specific to the bank. I think it's. I think it could be tailored. It would certainly have to be tailored, but I think it could work in any large company, large organization. It was. I think the bank was a fairly ideal setting for this, just because they do have to focus on so much on employee, what is the word I'm looking for? Not just how happy their employees are, and because they can't compete, salary wise with some of the other banks. So I think it definitely could be tailored to fit any large corporation. I don't think it's really fitting for a small business, but certainly a big one.
Elaine, what do you think? Do you think it's only for big business, or do you think smaller businesses can benefit from a mentoring program?
I think one of the key things I learned last week with hiring and recruiting is that when you are recruiting continues on after the hire to make sure that new hire is comfortable in the company. And so I feel like this mentor program is an extension of that. We have a responsibility to the employees to culturally integrate them into a company, and without having a mentor or somebody to take responsibility for that, the process stops. So I think that any company, big or small, needs to have a mentor or some kind of buddy system if we're going small scale, to continue that process until they in turn can do that for the next new hire.
Yeah, and I like what the bank they looked at when they were looking to see who can be mentees. They actually left out new hires because they had such an excellent program already in existence for a full year follow-up with new hires. So you can tell that they were definitely making sure that this, getting people into the culture of the bank and expanding them, then extended beyond that just integration off of a brand new hiring. Dan, any other thoughts that you want to add?
No, I also noticed the fact that they excluded new hires. I thought that was actually a really good idea. I mean, of course, I think the principles could be applied. You know, having a mentor and learning, you know, learning a lot of different, learning all the different operations, or at least learning about the different operations of a company. I think those principles could certainly be applied to any size company, but this big, this big organized, rollout. I mean, obviously you have to have the people. I mean, you're a small business with 8 employees, or even a company with 20 employees. It may not be a good fit.
All right. So, have either one of you had an experience with mentoring program? Either as a mentor or a mentee?
No.
I've never been involved with anything like this big and this organized. I have been asked to take other people under my wing and just kind of check on them and make sure that they're okay on a week-to-week basis, but never to that scale.
Sure. Yeah. No, I've definitely worked places where I was the new guy and someone sort of took me under their wing, or where where I had a lot of experience and other folks came to me for hey, what do I do in this situation? You've been working here a long time or whatever, but definitely not in this sort of official meet 4 hours a month type capacity.
Yeah, me neither. I think the closest that I would come would be experience with the Boy Scouts, and just having the unit commissioner come in and help me out, and the training with them, and having someone check on me and making sure I understood all of the advancements and that sort of stuff. That would be the closest that I would have had with the mentoring program. So from reading this and looking at this, then we've only kind of casually been involved in it. What are your guys' thoughts on how this helps employees advance their career development? Dan, what do you think?
I mean, it definitely gives them, like I said, definitely opens their eyes. I mean, especially I really liked the fact that it said they wouldn't match up, or at least in the second. I don't know what they did with the first group. I know in the second group, it said that it wouldn't allow them to match up with someone of a similar pay grade. They had to be 2 pay grades above. And I really thought that was a good idea, because giving these mentees sort of a glimpse into look, this is what you can this is where you can end up, and this is you can get an office, and you can move up the ladder or whatever. That could definitely at least inspire them to to do what's necessary in order to to develop their careers within the bank.
Yeah, and I think I remember that being in the first group too.
Was it?
Yeah, but by the time they got to the second group, it was automated. They had a program that was able to do it for them. Yeah. So, Aline, what do you think?
Well, it says that within the first 9 months of starting the program, 7 out of 25 mentees received promotions. So I think I think being able to match up the different salaries and the different experiences with people, they're sharing their knowledge, and the more they share and the more they feel they're getting support out of their peers, they're gonna get the information they need to do more, to be promoted, and to be loyal to more people. I can't say loyal to a company, because I think people work for people, but they would be more. The loyalty is spread out, so it gives us a more firm foundation.
Yeah, I know, because I like the one of them was pointing out she was thinking of leaving the bank because she didn't see where she could go, and there was another one that didn't think she really fit in, and this program opened both of their eyes to see similarities with other people with their background, and that there were other options that they didn't know about within the company. Yeah. Dan, what do you think the downsides to this could be?
I think you could. I think you could definitely. There's possibility if you don't communicate properly, you could certainly divide your team along lines of people who are participating in the program and people who aren't. These people get to go off and hang out with their mentors, 4 hours a week, and they're doing these special luncheons, and they're doing these, whereas the people who did not participate are stuck back in their cubicle, probably picking up the slack for people who are gone. And you could definitely sense, or you got a little glimpse into that that was taking place among a couple of the supervisors. So, like I said, I think all that can be repaired with proper communication and promotion of the program. But there's definite possibility for resentment if these people are getting paid to sit around and talk to talk to the guy upstairs or whoever, however it works.
Elaine, what do you think were potential downfalls?
I think the program was too long. I think that if they did more condensed training, maybe a little meatier training, that in a shorter amount of time they could go through more groups and get more people done, and I think it was just a little bit too long.
Yeah, and that actually ended up being one of the things that, one of the complaints that they looked at, and they did do that. They did make the training. I don't know if they made the whole program shorter, but I know they made the training shorter. They went back to the consultant and asked them to condense it down into one day. And then, like what Dan said, and you kind of back that up, if they were to shorten the program, then it would get more people rotating through it, and then you wouldn't have that potential building of resentment. The other thing I can think of, I worked for a fairly large law firm a few years back, and one of the terms of our employment was we weren't supposed to discuss our job or our salaries or the benefits that we were receiving with other employees. So if you get into a company where you're hired on with those caveats, then I can see where it can make this a little bit difficult. Why do you guys, Aline, why would you think a company would want to create a formal mentoring program as opposed to just letting these relationships develop on their own naturally?
Because a lot of them won't develop on their own naturally. They were choosing candidates that had limited access to information or limited access to people. And those people can get very disconnected to other parts of the business and other people. And by asking them to volunteer to be more involved in the company, they are they're kind of being forced to make relationships, whereas some of those people didn't get along in the first place. Like, there's no way they would have gone out on their own. And then one of these people, I think she said she was really shy.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one was like, I have a background that has nothing to do with finance. I don't know why I'm here. Like, she just kind of felt like she was, different from everybody else. And things like that can stop you from creating relationships with other people.
Dan, any other thoughts?
Yeah, just that I agree with that. People are creatures of habit, and they fall into routine. Then they work in an area close to certain people, and they see certain people every day during their routine, and they go to lunch with certain people. That mingling may just not ever happen, especially when it comes to, like, I guess it said, like, pay grade and people in different departments, and people that are in management positions or supervisory roles. I mean, those people just don't run into each other on a daily basis, or when they do, it's they say hello in passing rather than these conversations, and it just opens up a like an official program just really opens up that dialogue and takes some of the awkwardness out.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it definitely creates the dialogue, doesn't it? Especially with that training, and then the mentors know how to better help and the mentees. And I really appreciated the little glimpse we get into the training for the mentees. They were the ones that were driving this. They had to come up with what they wanted to get out of this and then make up their goals. They really had to be assertive and take ownership in this. And I think that's one of the things that contributed to really making it successful. You guys think there was anything they could have done to improve the program? Aline, what do you think?
I don't know. Aside from it being a little bit too long, I couldn't actually tell in here if their 4 hours a month was included in their regular day or if it was extra and it was not paid extra.
I saw someplace that it was during the workday unless both of them agreed otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it was during the workday?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I just think that it just needs to be a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit more meatier in the training, and that's all.
Now I had a question for you guys because I was a little bit confused on that circle mentoring. Were those groups in addition to this official program? Was that like a side program? Did you guys get a feel for what the circle mentoring was?
I had the same question. I didn't know if those were mentees within the program who were rotating around, or if that was outside. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that was interesting. That I think would be another way to implement this on a little bit larger scale. If they didn't do the full program, with the program being so contained to the number of people that they had more of these circles, maybe as like a precursor to the program, might have been interesting.
Sure. I just like the idea of rotating in general. I mean, Aline, you said the program was too long. I mean, if you did it if you rotated quarterly or something like that, and so you spent a year in the mentoring program, but that you got to be mentored by
4 different people.
Yeah, exactly. By a couple of different.
That's a great idea.
A couple of different people. It could. I don't know. I think that might be a better use of time than spending a whole year with one person.
I agree. That's a great idea.
That is an intriguing idea on that. I like that idea. Yeah, that would be really cool. So now the second go around. Let's look at that. Aline, why do you think less people signed up for the second batch?
I think maybe some of it was people were actually getting maybe some honest feedback instead of like their perfect survey feedback where everything was perfect. It could also be that, out of the 25, only 7 of them promoted, and that could very well have been the idea that everybody in that group was going to be promoted. or advance in some way. I don't know.
Dan, what do you think?
I think that first group was probably, people who are really motivated to try new things, and really they're the go-getters. They were the ones who were, oh, a new program, great, an opportunity, here we go, I'll do it. And then I think, a lot of the people at a big corporation like this, or a big employer like this, are kind of going to be, like I said, they just have their routine and kind of do their thing, and they're not trying to shake anything up, and they're not, they want to go to work and do their 40 hours and go home. They don't necessarily care to, to mix and mingle or whatever. So I think that initial group, people who are just going to sign up for everything. It doesn't matter what program it is, and it wasn't necessarily that it was mentors. They're just trying to better themselves, in whatever way possible. And then that second group, there were fewer of those people. So I think that I think that's a pretty natural cycle, but that as more and more people do it, and they realize that it's not hard, and it's actually kind of fun, and it's beneficial, and you get to meet somebody new, and it's not really awkward, and it's not this terrible thing. I imagine those numbers will come up in the future.
Yeah, and then when did we start? Was it in January that they started the first batch? Do you guys remember when the first?
No, it was in October.
Okay. Okay, so it was at a different time. And the second round, and this is what I think probably caused the numbers to dip a little bit. I mean, everyone was excited. They were getting good feedback. They had people who had asked to be in the first round that had gotten turned down and said, we'll pick you up in the second round. But they started that second round in the summertime. So I think maybe it was just the timing of it. Sometimes
Sure.
Timing can be everything. I mean, who wants to give up their summer? Once summer's around, at least
me.
here in Alaska, I'm thinking of all these other things. I don't want to start taking on something new in the summertime because our summers are so short. The kids are out of school. We got vacations. I'll hit the next batch when it starts again in the fall if they were doing it like that. And they also cut back on how much they were advertising it, I noticed, because they didn't want to over-advertise. So they were kind of letting, word of mouth and those little postcards that they posted in the employee break room or whatever it was on the feedback survey cards, I think they kind of did themselves a little bit of a disservice maybe by not re-advertising the program in full. So with thinking about that, what do you guys think could have been ways to get more applicants for the second go-round?
Well, they could have advertised more for sure.
They could have asked for the, as part of the, as part of the sort of the exit survey or whatever. They could have asked for like nominees from the program, from the folks who were finishing the program. They might ask for suggestions from the people who are just finishing it up.
That's referral system always works good, right?
Sure. Yeah.
That's why our dentist and our doctors always ask us, or tell us, please refer someone.
Yeah.
So, Dan, do you think they should keep the mentoring program small? Because now it's been a success, and management's thinking maybe make it larger. And so, do they keep it small or do they enlarge it?
Didn't it say they have, how many employees did it say they have? Like 200?
Ooh, I don't remember.
I don't know. Either way, I would say keep it small. I mean, if they want to bump up a little bit and do a group of 30 or something like that, I think that would be that would be fine. But no, I would probably. I mean, it's not. It seems to be working well, and um, I mean, even at you know, yeah, that's I would keep it small.
If it's small, and they had 2,000 employees. I found the number.
Oh, that 2,000 employees?
They had 2,000.
Oh,
Does that change your
yeah,
thoughts?
I might bump it up a little bit. Yeah, I might bump it up a little bit. But I also think that I don't know, having it be sort of an exclusive program might, I mean, really might motivate some people to want to do it. You know what I mean? If you make it, if it's, especially if some of the perks, if it's, if this program, gets seen as a benefit as opposed to, something they have to do, and they see, once people see that, oh, they go through this program and then these people are promoted, or they get to go to these lunches, once a month, or whatever it is, they get to go hang out with their mentor, a couple hours a week or an hour a week or whatever. I think, yeah, I think that could certainly would encourage people to apply. I like the idea of keeping it fairly small, though.
Elaine, what do you think? Small or big?
I agree. I think keep it small. I think that, if you make it too big, again, you're going to fall through the cracks. Like, the whole point of this was to, get people together and share information and ideas. And, I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it well and keep it small, and that way you can be more specific. And I like what Dan said. I think it would be a great thing for people to see it as an opportunity instead of oh my gosh, I have to do more in this job, and have it be for people who really want to do more instead of just come in for their 40 hours and not go anywhere. So yeah, I think that's a great idea to keep it small.
Yeah, I'm going back, Dan, to your comments before on, people having to pick up the slack. So I think if you start getting it too big and you start ending up with too many people in one department, then you're definitely going to be starting up some of that tension between other workers, because now instead of just Sally being in this program, now it's Roberta and Charlie too, both at the same time. So I think if they keep it smaller, then they run less the risk of it interfering with the daily business. And yeah, I think it kind of gives it that, like you said, more of that elite.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So what do you guys think? Is there a way to get more people involved without forcing them? Other than, making it seem like an elite status thing, is there anything else?
I think success breeds success. You get a couple of groups in there, and like I said, the referral program and things like that. But I think it'll naturally pick up as more and more people do it, and word spread. I mean, not everyone. I don't know what type of advertising. I mean, I guess we do know what type of advertising they were doing, but not. I mean, keep that up. I mean, not everyone reads their emails, not everyone eats in the lunchroom, yeah, just do more. I mean, if they really want to boost participation, just do more.
Yeah. Elaine, you were the one who mentioned referrals?
No, that was Dan.
That was Dan. Okay. Well, then I'm going to ask you this question. So if you did like the referrals, or if you knew that there was someone who would really benefit from the mentoring program, how do you think you can go about encouraging them to apply for it?
Well, I assume that I am referring them because I've been in the program already. So I would just talk about my experiences and make sure that they understand, what I got from that and what was hard for me and the time that I put into it and what benefited me from it. I think I would just kind of continue to support that way, and then if they did decide to apply, like, I think that the thing about because even if you apply, you might not get picked. So I think there's almost something else that has to be there before you apply, to be somebody who will get picked, and whatever that is. I could certainly let them know to work on certain things so that they could be considered as a candidate.
Right, definitely, yeah, because like if they were late for work or weren't getting good reviews,
Right.
they weren't going to be accepted at all. Dan, what do you think? I think I'm wondering if like their manager recommending them for the program. Do you think that would work, or would that cause more problems?
No, I think that's great. That's what managers should do. They need to, support good employees and help them to become better. I just had a thought also that, I think maybe some of the fallback on the second session is because in the past the company has never really followed through on any of their programs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, maybe just being consistently having this program available will also help the employees who have been there for a long time and have seen the company come up with great initiatives but never follow through with it, that they would be able to see that this is really happening and it's going to stay. So.
And then Dan, how do you get enough people to be mentors?
Again, I think that people, I think you make sure the mentors have a positive experience. I think, like I said, I think doing some lunches. I mean, the thing is, in a company like that, I mean, really, really small, fairly inexpensive things really go a long way. People make a big deal about getting stuff. I mean, any type of
food.
Yeah, totally, food or
Recognition of some sort. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something. Have a quarterly mentors lunch or whatever, where the mentors just get together and they can talk about what's I don't know, hear success stories and pump each other up, and man, look at this, look at where my mentee is now. I took this guy on, I mentored this person that was working as a working in the I don't know, in the cash office 2 years ago, and look where they are now. And I don't know, just kind of I don't know, just some type of event like that, or like those that will keep them motivated and make them feel like they're making a difference.
I like that, making them feel like they're going to make a difference. Yeah. Just making sure they're definitely recognized. Aline, I want you to think. You have a 10-year goal for a career after graduation. Describe what you think your employer would do to help you, what kinds of mentoring you would like to see available, and what kind of help that you think you would need to be able to make that goal 10 years out.
Oh, 10-year goal.
So think training you
Do people really think that far in advance?
I don't. So I have
Okay.
a really hard time with that. I do not plan 10 years out. But
Okay, so, 10 years. I'm going to make this up. 10 years. My kids will be almost out of high school, which means I can start working possibly a full-time job. So within the next 3 years, I'm going to graduate. And then within the next 5 years, I can start working part-time in the career path that I've chosen, which ironically is HR. But I probably won't get hired in as an HR manager right off the bat, so I'll probably go in as a part-time assistant and learn all of that stuff. And then within 2 to 3 years, I'll probably I want to get promoted, so I would need a training program. I would need I like performance appraisals. I love feedback. I think one of the things that I really enjoy is that in one of my last jobs, my boss always gave me like books to read about teamwork and things like that, and it always kept me focused. So it was like a continuous learning type thing. So even when I'm in the job, I want to be able to have time to continue learning and reading all of these awesome Harvard Business School things that you can get on Facebook.
You can find these on Facebook?
Yeah, you can be friends with Harvard Business School, like the Harvard Business Review, and they send out articles like every day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. And then yeah, so at the end of 10 years, I will be a human resource manager, working full time. I don't know, what else do you need?
Anticipate any sort of professional mentoring, or if your course of your employment didn't offer it, do you think after reading this that you would seek out some sort of mentor?
I think that if the company didn't have a mentoring program or even a casual one, like I said before, like I really like having reading material to help me broaden my horizon and focus on that. And if that's not enough for me, I would probably go somewhere where I would get what I needed. So.
Do you think you'll go beyond a 4-year degree for management?
It's possible. Like right now, I'm thinking probably no, because I don't love school. But if my ambition gets the better of me, I will probably go on to a graduate school.
Now, if you were working for someone who encouraged that and had financial assistance for you to do that,
yeah, I would do that. It's just because BYU doesn't have an online master's degree for human resources.
Right. So, Dan, do you need me to redo the questions, or are you good to go to answer the same thing for you?
You want to know where I'm going to be in 10 years?
Yeah. Think about where you want to be in 10 years and then tell me what your employer is going to do to get you there, or what you perceive.
Oh, I'm not going to have an employer.
Ah.
Nice.
I'm currently I'm a small business owner. I've owned a business for 3 years. In 10 years from now, I can see it going one of two ways. 10 years from now, I imagine that if we just continue to follow the growth track that we're currently on, I think we will have expanded significantly, and I can.
What's your business?
Are you raising your hand?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, you very easily could have been like preparing to swat a fly, or like waving to your husband or something.
No. What's your business?
So I own it's an organics recycling company. So basically what we do, we contract with grocery stores and with school districts and corporate cafeterias and restaurants. Basically anyone who produces food waste. So we collect food waste. We charge companies basically slightly less than a regular trash service would charge them to pick up their material, and then we take it back, operate a commercial compost facility. We take in tree waste from commercial tree trimmers, and again kind of do the same thing. We charge them slightly less than it would cost them to take it to the landfill, and then we grind everything up and turn out an incredibly excellent compost product. It's really nutrient rich, and it's the best product, best compost product that money can buy.
Awesome.
That's really
So just save the world every day. That's all.
Yeah.
Just,
you're like Superman.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Dan, are you going to implement any of these mentoring things that say you get big enough in 10 years that you definitely have
Well, I mean, I think that I think it's nice for employees to know. I mean, we we're not a huge company. Um, I've I mean there are six employees total, and I mean, but it's nice to. I mean, it's nice for. I think it's really nice for employees to feel like they have potential, in a company, and um, I don't know. We just recently had a guy who was, just kind of working. He was kind of a yard hand, running some heavy equipment and whatnot. And he said he was interested in becoming a driver and driving trucks. We run big rig trucks, big 18-wheelers with specialized trailers to pick up this kind of material. And yeah, he said he was interested in being a driver, and so we put him with another driver, and kind of he learned the ropes, and now now he drives full time, and he really likes what he's doing. But yeah, 10 years from now, I just expect to have grown and have sort of stepped back and not be so involved in the day to day, and I don't know, spending a lot of time with my kids.
Excellent. At 10 years from now, my husband's ready to retire now. So I think 10 years from now, I will probably be retired too, as long as my youngest daughter is doing okay in college. That'll be the kicker. If she's still struggling and we still have to financially support the kids in schooling, then I anticipate I'll have a small job. Right now, I'm looking at this so that I could actually step into what my husband does right now, and that he can step away from it, and that's running a small nonprofit. So, and it's a healthcare-based company. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. And there are people in the community that I would reach out to. It isn't anything that would have a formal mentoring program, but there's definitely people in the community that have set up similar organizations that are really good about helping you along the way. So that's where I would seek my own mentor from one of the national level organizations and follow it along those lines. So I can see, though, if I would have been earlier in my career, I definitely would have liked this. And then organizations, too, is the other thing. I know we didn't talk about it in here, but when I was a paralegal, I got a lot of help and mentoring from being a member of the local paralegal association. So a lot of times, there's clubs or associations in your field of work that really provide a good benefit and help. We had book studies and stuff like that. So, Aline, if you get into management, HR management, I'm sure they have associations too. You should check them out. I think you'd like them. So, okay, so next week, Ashley will be our group leader. And then we discussed 1 hour later, right? We're still good Wednesday, just bumping it 1 hour later than what we are right now?
Yes.
Yeah, because Sunday we fall back an hour.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep. All righty, then I think we have covered everything tonight. Thanks, guys.
Right.
Appreciate
Sounds good.
it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys later.